Tonight, a dear and great friend of mine makes his live-action debut on the ACU, an alternate cinematic universe. We're going to be coming back to him soon to do some fan readings of his beloved books. And, leading up to this new one that's released in Italy, we're going to get the English translation soon, or a rough cut of it. So I look forward to doing that because he's got some really great stuff out there. If you're a Rambo fan, you're going to love this. This one and beyond. In a few weeks, he was so cool and so kind of him to let us do that. So I want to take my time putting them together. Since I recorded and lost the first one, it crashed right after my recording. 5 hours gone, so I gotta be more careful in the future with that. We will also at that time be giving you a list of where to find our collaborations with this author on our sister show Rambo Mania on Studio Red Band on YouTube. It's a bit hard to find them, also that's why I wanted to do that. Who knows, I might re-release them all for you. Go that little extra mile to make it just a little bit easier for you all to find them. Because if you are familiar with Rambo Mania, we have so many videos that it's kind of hard sometimes to find all the videos that you want to see, and at the same time, we haven't perfected our playlist yet, so it's kind of hard to navigate. Because, I love you all so much. So please give it up for our first audio sit down in studio. Whereas before we would do it written in, and I would read the Q&A. This time it's in studio with the wonderful, my man, my friend, and long time coming special guest on this show, live from Verona, Italy, with author Wallace Lee. Wallace Lee, first guest on ACU. Man, oh man. Been waiting for this one. Can't wait. Let's dive into it. Let's go to the phones via Skype with Wallace Lee, his live action debut on I want to say Rambo Mania, but it's a new show, ACU. But like I said before, we have a great introduction to where you can find all the Wallace Lee Q&As and reviews and just things we did with him written-wise on Rambo Mania in the first section of the of this mini-series set of 7. So please go back there and check out listings
so you can catch up on all things Wallace Lee. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pride and pleasure to announce Wallace Lee. Let's do it.
Hey! How's it going?
Oh, fine. I'm a little sleepy tonight.
What time? It's got to be close to midnight out there, huh?
It's 1 hour before midnight.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, man.
I usually now I'm doing a job with mostly night hours.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's
every
been
8 hours. So before midnight, I never sleep.
yeah, it's been crazy here. It's like work all the time, and then my friend needed my help because his fence got sheared, like the post got sheared. So he had to like put together his fence so that people can't, like walk into his yard and fall in the pool. So we had to do that, and I had to get my niece's clothes for my niece that were donated from a really great girl, MJ Sanford. Donated some clothes, and yeah, yesterday work, man. Yesterday I got up at 6. I left at 7 a.m. and I got home maybe I think 9:15 when I got home. Like I left work at we went at 8, and then when I got home it was like 9:15 at night. So it was
So,
crazy.
uh, I have an easier job than yours, I'm sure. This is sure.
Well, it's only going to get worse for me because I'm starting a new show, so it's like cramming the first 21 episodes out like next week so that I can have yours there for like a good month, right? That the one I'm doing with you, I want it to be up for a good month so people can see it before I start working on the next batch.
Now,
Um,
you have to start to do smaller things, mate.
yeah,
Just
I
shorter things, because you can't always do such projects, so big projects.
yeah. Time is very limited for it. I can say that. And Rambo Mania is on hold for a while I wait to hear back regarding some Stallone stuff. So it's on hold for a while to see if I can kind of get an interview with Sly. I should know within I don't know the next couple of months sometime. Um, but I did have a big announcement for tonight. Actually, there's a pretty big announcement that I wanted to make. And by the time that this is uploaded, I should know if I got the job or not. But it's something we've been talking about for a long time. If you know what I'm saying.
Uh,
If you can pick up on it. um,
yeah.
re-
But what was your last info regarding Stallone?
oh well, pretty much when we sent our request, they were saying Mr. Stallone can get back to you in 1 day, or he can get back to you in 100 days. You just have to be patient. Which I know a lot of people who have dealt with Stallone personally, they tell me the same thing, that it's it could be any time. And like I was watching, I think it was Going the Distance, and even they said there was a gentleman on there who wanted Stallone to do a piece for his book, and he was saying that they told him pretty much the same thing, and that when Stallone finally did call him, he only got it on his answering machine. He didn't get a real like a face to face interview. It was more like an interview over the answering machine. Like Stallone just left a couple of messages, so it
Uh,
could be any time. When I first contacted uh, the agents through because my sister did the initial contact, because I gave up, man. I went through like 30, 40 different people. Even Frank's, I tried to go through Frank Stallone. I tried to go through names I found on the internet, agencies, and all that. And it was so hard. Like I went through at least 40 people, and then I gave up. And my sister was like, "Let me try this." So once I know if I got that coming or not, then I can do like I can ask if I can give out the information to maybe some other people who want to like maybe talk to him, interview him, maybe like yourself and Slycast and Going the Distance and stuff like that.
the problem with this kind of stars that they receive, I think, 1,000 messages daily.
Oh yeah,
They, they don't know how to deal with the messages, and they have no way to deal with such a monstrous amount of messages. They probably have more than one people paid to read them all,
yeah,
but the real VIPs don't write them emails. They don't use the public addresses. So. I think it's a good thing they told you that he might reply in the future.
yeah,
That's the way it works.
yeah. It was good because then I knew, like I knew not to wait. You know what I mean? Like I knew not to like announce it right away and wait. by the phone, you know, like I knew like I could get back to my life and stuff because
Also,
I got like 20 interviews I've done with celebrities that I haven't even uploaded yet, like maybe 17, 18, close to 20, and I got just as many more that I contacted that I'm waiting to do interviews for. So it's pretty crazy time right now.
also, I'm not a successful writer, so I'm not pretending anything from what I'm making.
Hmm.
The official stance is that I am happy to have some thousand fans.
Yeah, you got more fans than I do.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
That's good. I'm proud. I'm
But
proud. I'm proud that it's working for you. You know.
yes, but if and you can keep this on the records. If I look down the road, if I look back, I it's kind of I don't know. I'm a little confused if I did the right investment, meaning that these are the best things I ever wrote in my life.
Hmm.
It happens. That's the reason I wrote something I knew that was doomed to be shared. I
Yeah.
knew from the beginning that 80% this works and would have been for free.
Hmm.
English is worse than ever tonight.
Well, that's the best because it shows the labor of love and it shows the intensity of the writing, and at the same time, it's like that. It's like the way Stallone did it with Rocky. You know, he knew it wasn't
It
gonna
was the
work, but
best
then it worked.
inside
You know.
yourself.
Yeah.
It was the, the best. The best you have, you say in English, no? The best you got.
Yeah.
So there's no other choice than doing it, and that's the reason I'm happy
Hmm.
for the first time in my life. I have a fan base following me, writing me. They support me very much. I have a lot of people. I should thank for. If it wasn't for these people, I would have probably left much of the amount of work. As to make an example, the three covers costed me a breakdown each.
Hmm.
It was really the covers were really exhausting to make. But when you have some fans, you are doing this. You aren't doing this for yourself only. You're
Hmm.
doing this for other people too.
Yeah.
So it's not a waste of time. Uh, but when I talk with other, as an example, this year I worked for the Park Dam,
Hmm.
the park that has a show, a Rambo live show, by the way. I worked with them, I wrote for them, I wrote some scripts, I rewritten some dialogues for a secondary attraction of the park,
Hmm.
and sometimes they they asked me, you know, you worked for something like 4 years for free
Hmm.
just to make yourself a name.
Yeah. That's the
And,
best. That's the best.
it's a fact. I don't know. Maybe one day they will say I was a kind of martyr or saint or something like that.
Well, it's good
But
because like say like with the attraction in Verona and with this now you're officially part of that franchise. Even if they say, oh well, you know um, the books aren't copyrightable, you're still part of that franchise because you're part of that Verona team too. You know you're working for the park, which you know that's licensing. They have you're
yes,
involved one way or another. You're involved in the Rambo franchise.
that was something I'm very proud of, and they understand the passion driving you while you're doing things like that. It's just that they are professionals, so they are not used to things. They are used to things made for free, but not to this level, not to the point of watching your back and seeing you worked for 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years in a row. Anyway, I'm not complaining. This saga gave me some reviews, literary reviews, coming from some VIPs that are very important for the career of a writer. So there's money. There's they say that in your life there is money, power, and prestige. I have some prestige. I hope the money will come, and the power, I'm not interested in power, so I will never go in politics or anything like that.
Oh man, yeah, me too. I know exactly what you mean. But I wanted to thank you for being my first guest, and yeah, man, tonight's gonna be a blast. I got a pretty good program planned. Pretty good program. And on that earlier note, like I know, like with the Rambo of Arabia reissue, David's gonna have like a sample from the the unused South America script, and I think someone found it and they're sending it to me. Like someone owns a copy of it and they're sending it to me. So I can't wait to see that, because I heard the other day that someone actually, like in that circle, like in that Carolco circle, found it. So
I don't even know if David Morrell himself has a copy of this work.
I think he said that he had samples that he found, or like an early version, but he said that the finished script were lost in the Carolco crash, so they belong to Carolco. But
I have read something like that too, that it was lost.
Yeah,
the final version was lost.
But the cool thing about that is that even though all those scripts were lost, when they're found, they're free domain. So there's no copyright on them. You can have them, which is pretty cool, because there was a lot of movies that never got made that would have made fantastic movies. I'm like, just stuff that I found from many, many different writers that are just so incredible and unbelievable. So that's part of why I wanted to do the show I'm doing now, is because I wanted to take a look at the alternate side of what could have been history. Like, we all know the movies that came out, but there's many different versions of those movies no one's ever seen. There's many different there's many sequels that never got made, but the scripts are there. So I thought it'd be cool to do like educational show, retrospective review, where I can look at those and show them to people, and maybe that will maybe cause some motivation of people to write and petition to actually see some of these films made, because there's so many, and there's so many good ones.
You're right, because it's interesting the way Morrell, when he wrote the novelization of the second novel and the third novel, it's interesting to see that he didn't really kept the Rambo, the movie screen Rambo, as it was in the first movie. He gave his own version, which was a mix of the movie version and the original novel version.
Yeah.
It was quite the first time I read the novelization of the second book quite recently, some years ago, while I was starting to write Real One,
Mm-hmm.
and I was surprised to see that being me a ghostwriter, I would have gone, I would have left the original version of the character in First Blood. I would have left it also because Rambo dies in the novel. So how can you adapt the character? Yeah, I would have taken the big screen Rambo and use it as it is. I would have taken the movie and do something very similar to the movie for the novelization. Instead, what made something different, and you can see that his vision and the vision of the first movie will never fuse together, in my opinion. Even if in Rambo 4, probably Rambo 4 is the more similar to Horror's vision of the character.
Yeah, especially like when you take a look at the script for Rambo 4, because I find it fuses more of Morel's original Rambo with it fuses it with the Rambo from the 3 movies like a lot better. Like when you watch the movie, you only get the Morel Rambo and the progressed Stallone version of Rambo. Like you don't get the there's a whole slew of point backs to like First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3 that you don't get from watching the movie, that you get from reading the script. It's a very different. It would have been a very different movie. Like the only closure you really get is the dream sequence. Like there's no, they don't really talk about Troutman. They don't really. There's a big gap between the script and the movie.
The script has more references to the past movies or less?
Oh yeah. I'll send you that if you want. It's really good.
There's more references than the movie.
Yeah, some that I can remember right off the bat are probably the one that sticks out to me the most is Rambo's catching these snakes, right? These cobras, and he comes across a really rare thing where calcium deposit in the cobra causes it to have these pearls in the cobra's gut, and he takes out the pearl and he puts it on a necklace and he's wearing it, and Sarah asks him about the necklace, kind of like how he asks Ko about her necklace.
Okay, I understood.
So he goes into this whole monologue of what it means, and it reminds me a lot. He's kind of talking about Ko without bringing up Ko's name.
Okay, I understand. I understood.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things like that just really, really, really cool. And like when they meet him, it's not Arthur Marsh who comes to get him. It's another guy instead. It's he's kind of like an evil version of Colonel Troutman. Kind of like you feel like he's evil, but he can be either way. He can be good or evil. He's like a shapeshifter. You don't really know his intent throughout the whole movie. At the end of the movie, Rambo actually ends up working for him. Rambo and Schoolboy. The movie finishes with Rambo, Schoolboy, and this colonel going off on another mission, but which would have been Rambo 5, I guess. But where was I going with this? Yeah. When he meets Rambo, Rambo's very on edge. Like it's kind of like the Murdoch situation, but it's Rambo's really on edge, and he says, "I know all about you." He's like, "They call you White Death." In Vietnam they called you White Death, and Rambo's like his patience is being tested. I think at one point he goes to grab Rambo's arm, and Rambo does that thing with like he did with Teasel, where he like whips his hand away. But yeah, it's pretty cool to like his apparently his code name was White Death for many of the people in Vietnam who were trying to hunt him. So and like he also goes into his history of what he's done since Vietnam.
Okay. Do you want to make me some questions about Baker team?
Yeah, I wrote down a program to let you know what I had here. So I'll just go over the program with you. Let's see. I got 6 pages of notes here, 60 PowerPoints. I'll try to go through them really fast of just things that I found really cool about Baker Team that aren't too spoilerish. Like, I'm not going to go beyond what people think they know from the movies, like how far they can kind of trace those past elements back to Rambo. So what I'll do is I'll try not to spoil it, because in part 2 of the novel, the Black Spot missions.
Yes.
That's some fantastic stuff. So I don't want to ruin that for the people. Like when I do the fan reading, it will give them opportunity to either from now to then read it for themselves, or listen on to the fan reading and learn it from that. But I just wanted to touch on some things that I thought were really cool. And then after that we have 2 fan questions, and then we have 4 in-house studio questions, and on the wild card line we have 5 anonymous questions, and then I'll check the Facebook Live to see if anyone wrote in at the last minute. And then I have an announcement, but or we can do the announcement before. It's all right. And I have a special gift for you too, that I discovered the other day, and I thought of you right away, and I was like, oh, Wallace might like this. And I wanted to thank you once again for sending me that patch, man, that SOG patch. That was really cool. That's gonna be I have it in my box of Rambo Mania stuff that people send me a whole bunch of stuff, and I always put it in this box, so that it doesn't get broken or stained or ruined or anything.
I have to say that sometimes I give the patch as a gift to people that help this project, and they all go crazy for this patch. They are all crazy. The guy that translated the Spanish version of Year One has put it on his leather jacket. He sewed it on his leather jacket, saying that it's the most awesome patch he has ever seen. Very crazy for this patch. It was a design by Marco Faccio. We designed it together, and if you go on the eBay, there are many SOGS patches, and the Baker Team patch is made on the purpose of looking very similar to those patches. I could sell it on the eBay, saying that it is an original SOG patch, and it would vanish together with all of the other SOGS patches. I have to thank Marco Faccio for this. He did an awesome job.
Oh, he did a spectacular job. I also got some patches from She Died from the horror-thon that we worked at together, and it's gonna go on my She Died jacket when I get my She Died jacket, because they made me the Montreal founder member, or the Montreal chapter president. So that's going to go on my on my Shidai jacket when I get it. I was gonna put it. I have a military coat that I had two military. I had like an aviator trench coat, but I lost that one, and I have another one, but it's too small for me now. I was gonna put it on that, but the jacket's too small. I'm bigger now, so when I get my Shidai jacket, it's gonna go on there with all my Shidai patches and everything else. But I love it. That great detail, great design, and wow, it's just awesome to have, and it's a really great token of our friendship because maybe people out there don't know, but you and me are really good friends. So
Yes.
it's pretty cool. I can't wait to get down to Verona. I'm thinking within the next year I'm going to be going down to Verona. So
This would be ultra awesome. It
mhm.
would be very, very awesome to see the Rambo live show together.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I told my wife because my wife wants to go down there. I'm like, can we go to Verona? Like instead of going to like the other, she wanted to go to some. I can't remember. I think she wanted to go to Rome first, and then there's some part of Italy. I can't remember the name of it where her family is from. So
Well,
she said that we
in
could do
Verona,
both. We could do that, and we can go to Verona.
in Verona, where you probably know already that in Italy there is something ancient that is worth to see. Practically in every single town, there are towns you don't even know the name that have Romance ruins or something similar. Verona has l'Arena di Verona, if you ever heard it,
Hmm.
which is like the Colosseum of Rome, but it's smaller. It's identical in a smaller scale,
Okay.
and it's very ancient too. So it's worth to see Verona too. It's very worth looking at. Also, in my hometown, there is the Rotonda, that is the building that the United States copied
Hmm.
to build the White House. So you, you can
Wow.
the Americans, we have a United States military base in Vicenza,
Hmm.
and some American soldiers sometimes ask. One American soldier told me, "This is the White House. You copied it." And I had to reply them that our one is older. It was the Americans that copied it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, it
so
is.
what I'll do is I'll give you the announcement. I put
Okay,
it on Facebook yesterday that there's big news coming. I'll do the announcement, then I'll switch the tape so that because my computer's been crashing a lot lately, so I want to make sure I have each segment saved so I
okay.
don't lose it. But the announcement I want to make is 3 or 4 months ago, I was asked to um, submit for a Hope 35 celebration in Hope, British Columbia. Kind of like like when they did the ceremony for the bridge, for when they took down the bridge, they had like the movie played outside, and they had like reenactments. And I think at that time Herb Attia made his documentary around that time. Um, well, I got the phone call back yesterday, and it was from Steven's team, and he was like, "Okay, for legal papers, I need the correct spelling of your name," and he put me as representative on the paperwork for Mastershot, and um, the submittal I had for that project um, went through, and I should be um, either receiving back a notification or meet with the town council of Hope because there was like the old mayor who I spoke to who's no longer there, and then there was another mayor. oh my God, what was her name? Um, Susan Johnson. She's no longer there, and there's a new mayor and a new council. So I've been asked to pitch for the council a fan documentary on Rambo and how it how it put Hope, British Columbia on the map. As well, Steven says if it's picked up, he wants to do a reenactment of one scene from my script with Mickey Cardoni as Rambo and him as another either as VC Commander or voiceover for VC Commander with a younger actor, but pretty much taken from the pages of the script that I wrote. So that's pretty cool. So if it gets picked up, it's all expenses paid down to Hope to film the documentary, and if that happens, then I too will be part of the Rambo franchise, which is cool because
it's super cool.
It's a dream come true for me. It's a dream come true for Mickey, and for Tasso, and for everyone involved. So I'm just trying to get I'm trying to get the budget under wraps. I think the budget can be done for a good budget, but Steven has to factor in all the cameras and everything, so he has to factor in all the pricings and how they're going to deal with it and everything like that. So I should know within like a week or two what's going on. So by the time this is uploaded, I should have an answer if I get accepted or not. If I get accepted, I have to fly down there in October and do it. So a week in October, and I might stay down there. And, like if I get paid good for it, I might stay an extra week and do the tour. And I have a friend who wants to work on a project out there. So regarding Brandon Lee, so maybe I'll help him with that and do 2 productions in one shot. So yeah, that's the big announcement. Yeah, it would be cool because I've always wanted to go. It's since I was like a little kid, I've always wanted to go. And I remember talking to the mayor in, I want to say 2010, and yeah, it was just the timing was off. She was like, she was saying that they only do it every certain amount of years, So this being the 35 year, and Steven's still around. He's almost the same age as Sly, right? So he's getting up there. So it's cool that he still wants to do it and have fun and do reenactments and maybe have like the sheriff of the town do a little First Blood reenactment, kind of like they did for the last one. So looking forward to that because that is pretty cool. While I'm down there, I can promote Rambo Year One and your books at the same time.
But this time I wanna do things more serious from now on. From coming in USA, as I told you yesterday, from coming in USA to start sending some material. Mm-hmm. I could send you a copy of the book for the mayor.
Yeah, sure.
Might be a good idea, and or things like that. Anyway, I would appreciate if your promotion would be very much appreciated.
Oh, it would be my pleasure. It would be my pleasure. Because I'm putting together like a whole package for them, like I could even put the book links in the package if you want, because when they open the PowerPoint presentation, it's gonna have like all the she-dyed videos. It's gonna have like all their trailers and then like the Cardoni Rambo interviews and all that, and it's I'm gonna include every link that I have to every Rambo player. So that'd be cool. That'd be really really cool if I can put your book linked in there, and then they could get a broad scope of uh of all the of everything. Because I really wanted to do something where it talked about the community of the town and how it boosted morale for the town and how it boosted like the economy and from such a small town to such a big part of history. And it would be cool to see where the bridge is, maybe to see if I can get some souvenirs of the old bridge, or to see all the locations, do some site locations, and it'd be cool. And there's some pretty cool Bigfoot stuff down there too that I wanted to check out. The Great Sasquatch Caves. I want to check that out. Apparently, there was a Bigfoot sighting on the Rambo set. So
I don't know that.
yeah, so I want to dig into that.
You have a thing for Sasquatch that it's a mystery to me.
Oh, I love that stuff. It's so terrifying to me, so it's fun. It's fun.
Sorry, but I don't understand that. Okay, how can it be frightening? If you find a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, it's something like a bear or a monkey. It's an animal.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be an ancient race of aliens or something like that. I mean, if you find a Bigfoot, when there was the thing for the Bigfoot on the K2 mountain, it's an animal, a rare, very rare animal, but I know that it's like any mysterious animal, it's fascinating.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I've studied like a bunch of I don't want to say Sasquatch hunters, but I mean just people who have theories, and a lot of them have like really weird traits, but it links up to other animals. It links up to like Gigantopithecus, and you can even see some similarities between like like gorillas and lions in Africa, and you can see some similarities of traits that other animals have that it could or it's said to have, possibly like infrasound, like lions have infrasound, and a lot of people say that the way that they had encounters with like a Bigfoot, they say that they felt infrasound. So just a lot of weird stuff that's like you said, it's fascinating.
It's a weird passion.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll switch to tape, and then we'll get into the PowerPoint, and then we'll get into the fan questions. And I have a really cool gift for you too that I found that I thought that was just perfect for you. So I'm just gonna switch the tape. Give me a second here. And we're back. All right. There we go. All right. So some things I thought that were really cool without giving too much away. I'm just gonna get some more light in here so I can read. All right. Some things that I thought that were really, 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 really cool. Like about the book, where like the opening tutorials and how the format of the book is not like your normal book format. It kind of feels like it's two books in one. I know I said the same thing about the first one, how you have like kind of like a tutorial section with all the extra notes and author's notes and historical references and all that other stuff, all the quotations and everything. And then with the illustrations, which is really really powerful because it kind of sets you into that world. And I like how the setup for the Fontation is very, how do you say, it's smaller, so you feel like you're getting more for your read. You know, even though the book is like 201 pages, it feels closer to 400 because of the format. And what I also liked about that too is it gives you a lot in a smaller package. It gives you a lot more than what you would think. When you look at the book, you would think it's okay, it's gonna be short, but then when you get into it, there's so much in there that it feels longer, which is great, because as a reader like myself, loving to read, it's just great to know that, you know, I can spend that time. And like, even if when it go say like in cases where it's in print, it's great too, because it's kind of like recycled a bit. It kind of feels like a environmentally friendly book, which is really great too. Like, it feels like it's more packed together. You get a lot more than what you think you're gonna get, and it's really in depth. One of the things I like about it is it's really in depth to the point that it's not a book you can read once. You have to read it 2 or 3 times, because there's so much in there that every time you read it, even though you read it, you're gonna see something. You're gonna recall something new every time you read it, which is cool. And like, I like how that affects the training. Like, same thing with the first one. Like the training aspect of it, and the selection process of the first one. How it shows that nothing is ever over. Like how in this one they kind of feel like, in the beginning they kind of feel like, oh, like the worst is behind us from the selection process, but really it's just the beginning. You know, it's never really going to be over. And even when they think it's over, they're still going to have to deal with everything they see and everything they end up doing, which in some parts of the book it's pretty fucking gruesome. So
yes, it is.
And the thing I like about that the best is that because of like the heavy tutelage in the way you wrote it, you almost feel like you're going through that selection process, and not only going through that selection process, but you feel like you're getting trained, like the team is getting trained at the same time.
Well, when I started this project, I knew this was going to be an ebook only. There would have never been printed copies of this book. So after my senior degree in publishing, I told myself, why reading on an ebook reader is better than reading on the screen of a computer, but it will never be better than reading on paper. Reading on paper is fantastic. It's perfect. Reading on any reader is the worst, and reading on a PC computer is the worst thing you can ever imagine. And
yeah. True.
90% of my readers, I knew that would have never had any reader. So I changed the format of my book in a way that so to make every single page lighter to read than a normal book.
Okay.
If you see every ebook on the internet, every single ebook is nothing but a paper book turned changed in some way to fit a file, a computer file. This is wrong.
Yeah.
This is very wrong. My book. This is one thing that explains. To make an example, there are many white lines inside my novels. There are many white lines that act like camera shift, camera cuts. When the scene changes, there is a white line, but the white line it doesn't only say to the reader there's going to be a change, so you are prepared, mentally prepared to a change, but it also makes the reading lighter, easier, more user-friendly.
Yeah, I found that like when you have the section with the letter from Jorgensen, the letter home from Jorgensen, and then it ties, and it immediately cuts to Ortega's letter. It's cool because it reminds you of what happened in the last book. You know, you get that kind of feel from the last book, and it's cool because it shows you like the humanity between and the polar opposites of these two people, and what they have to deal with in their personal lives, and what they have to deal with in a team. And that, I think, that comes into perfect correlation when you have the scene with Troutman and Jurgensen with the general's daughter.
Yes.
And then it comes into like full effect later on when you have like Ortega and Jurgensen standing together and finally hashing it out, finally forgiving each other and coming together. And you have kind of like Ortega kind of feels like a troublemaker, not a troublemaker, but like he's kind of like in the wrong place, the wrong time a lot. And I feel like it really comes into culmination, and it's really powerful when you get to the birth of Jorgensen's daughter.
Ortega is not troublemaker. He's searching for trouble because he is the kind of guy that is always checking that everything's okay, that his mates are okay, that if someone has a problem, he wants to fix it. But this in the real world, it's not a good. It's very generous, but it isn't always the best thing to do in the real world.
Yeah.
You are searching for trouble when you are too generous in this world. You are searching for trouble, and Ortega has its troubles during my saga. Anyway, another thing that it's very important in my saga is that it's short. My novels are short, and this is one thing. It wasn't exactly intentional because knowing that I couldn't send this saga to publishing companies for evaluation, it was the first time in my life that I decided to write something that could not, from the beginning, send publishing companies for evaluation. I decided to do something short. To write something short. It wasn't intentional, but in the end, it's a better thing. I think that this saga taught me that every novel can be a bad novel can be a very good short tale. If you cut it in half, it can be a very good short tale. But a bad tale will never be a good novel, elongating it, making it longer. And another very, very cool thing of year one is that, for the readers to know, is that I put my notes in the beginning, because if you stop the action to describe things. You always have to think when you write that people might not know what is a Cobra helicopter, what is a an AK rifle, maybe the AK. Everybody knows what is an AK, but you can't be sure. Maybe you say AK and they think to an Uzi, which is very popular. So I put some notes in the beginning. So when the reader starts reading, see the images inside his mind. As the images that are very fresh. Oh, this is the gun that I read about in the beginning. And this makes the read easier, even more easier, and it does not break the action, which is very important for a Rambo novel.
Yeah, that's one of the things like I loved about the first one, is that you had that tutorial section. You know, it's really great because then it really helps you to like, because the first novel has that polar of like, you start off with like the Apache sniper scene, you know, which is really a high intense scene. And for people out there who haven't read it, by the end of that scene, it's you feel it in your gut. You know, you can really feel that your heart feels heavy. And then when you end the first book, it cuts back to kind of like a foreshadow to First Blood in a lot of ways, and you feel the same way because you feel like you've been through hell with them, you know.
And you want vengeance.
Yeah, and in this one, it's really cool because the first half of the book feels like the direct continuation from that and how they deal with that, and how they deal with kind of moving up to the next level. Then you get this awesome subplot with this, I think his name is Patrick. This Patrick guy?
Patrick Nelson, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Which I don't want to spoil because that's like the heart, I think a big part of the heart of the story. But what I really like is the whole second half of the book is almost one giant action scene. Almost, like I was trying to do a page count of how many action scenes are in there, but like after reading through it, I was like, oh my god, it's like half the book's in action, like an action scene almost. You got that shot with the two helicopters, and Rambo's like, it went through, you know, like the missile and everything, like the RPG and all that. And
yes.
Wow, you know, like that whole crash sequence when they crash down and then they have to fight through the Viet Cong, and like Rambo has a really intense moment, you know, where you don't know if people are alive and dead, and yeah, like I was saying before, like with that Jorgensen, when that culminates with his character, I find is when he has the daughter and he makes her that promise that she'll never have to grow up like he did, but you know, as a Rambo fan, you know that it's not going to end good for him, you know? So your heart, it's heavy on the heart, and I love that about your writing. It's like it would have been really easy to just, you know, write a Rambo prequel, but I love how you personalize everyone. So it's not just Rambo. Everybody in the team has their own story. Everyone is fully character developed. So
yes, she's. Let me explain this because this is something very important for me. Meaning that I think that the classic image everybody has of a Rambo prequel is with Rambo always on the main camera, always on the center of the scene, always the bravest, the warrior, the perfect war machine.
mm-hmm.
But my saga, most of all, is a Vietnam War novel, and it would have been disrespectful for what the Vietnam War really was, to forget that when you are at war, it's all about the team. There is no survival without your teammates. And this is something that you see in First Blood, and then is somewhat forgotten during Rambo 2, 3, and then it comes back during Rambo 4, which is absolutely awesome. When they are a team, they synchronize the watches.
Oh yeah.
On the track before the stealth ride, the stealth attack, nighttime attack on the compound, and that's when you see Rambo getting back inside the team. This is a very awesome moment. I'm really happy to have taken this road for my prequel because it's very important. In my opinion, it's very important to give the people this vision of what really a war is like.
It is. It's wonderful because it's like you get the whole family backstory, you get the whole individual backstory, you get to see every character go from complete arc, and it's only book 2. You know, I know there's 4 more coming, right? So
yes,
you got that really. It's really laid out, and
also, if you think about it, this is a mistake many movies do, in action movies in particular. You see someone dying that was a friend of the main character or something else, like a relative, parent. He dies, but you know nothing about the character.
Yeah.
So you don't feel close to the death you see on the screen, and it doesn't hurt. You see people dying on the screen many times that doesn't hurt, and so you are not excited by the movies. You are not enthralled by the movies for this reason. When you know, and of course, inside the novel is easier because you have more time at your disposal. You have more pages to build everything you want inside the novel. But movies should not forget about this part of storytelling because it's very important.
Yeah. Like I find movies now they don't even do main character development.
No,
It's all
they don't develop character anymore. Characters are nothing in nowadays movies. You think to past movies like Escape from New York. My God, Yana Pliskin is the best character we have ever seen. Or Indiana Jones, the Terminator. They all had very cool characters. Every character had a glimpse, small gestures, small facial expressions that gave a lot away of the inner world of these characters. Nowadays, it's this part of storytelling is quite forgotten, in my opinion.
It is. Like whenever I'm on people's shows, that's like one of the things that comes up the most. You know, it's a problem because it's ultimately it's going to lead to, you know, the demise of the way we look at Hollywood as a whole. You know, now with like Netflix coming in, you can see.
I am a big fan of Netflix. I am a big fan of Netflix works. I like them very much. Every one of them. They're very cool. They are script-driven works. Being me a writer, I love them all.
Yeah, because you can see the passion of those filmmakers not having to worry about gross, not having to worry about opening weekend, not having to worry about, you know, how much money it makes. I think that's like going to be the next. I think that's going to be where film is going to start going. The independent, I think we need an independent market to bring film back to how it used to be, not just in the 80s and 70s, but like the golden age of film in the silent era and the black and white silver screen classics of like the 50s. And I think we need to go back to that, kind of like the Great Depression era of film. I think we need to go back to that, because now it's like porn, you know. It's just, you know, get the check and that's it. You know,
let's show some special effects and nothing else.
Yeah, big CG dinosaur, and that sucks because the people who are making the film, like the actors, don't have anything real to act off of. You know,
yes,
they have
their eyes. The actors' eyes are always wrong. Always, they're always looking at the wrong direction. George Lucas Star Wars prequels were something disgusting. Disgusting. There were characters gazing in the distance, staring on the distance, and because they were talking to CGI characters, and they couldn't see them.
Yeah.
They looked like they were on drugs. There were characters that looked like they were stoned or on drugs.
Yeah, definitely. Like I like literally here, like no joke, I have 60 notes. 60 notes.
Okay.
I don't know. A couple of them here were answered, but so some of the things I really want, you know, I wanted to touch on that I liked, like the General's daughter scene. I love that. Or like I wrote, like my handwriting's like a doctor's handwriting. It's hard. But there was like a lot of things that I found that were really cool that tied to the further universe and from the old one. Like, you know, like, and what's cool too is like I felt like there was a little bit of a touch to the next book, you know, like the scene, the passage where they say that at the point of no return, the soldier's body is starts disintegrating, and not, you know, not actually training itself. That you have to maintain the training, and that's kind of like we see that with like Rambo, even in the later films, that he's always working on himself all the time.
Yes.
Even like in Rambo 2 where he's breaking those rocks. That's 10 years of hard labor. He's been hitting those rocks, but it feels like he's still working on himself. And like the General's daughter scene, that was classic. I really liked that scene where you were talking about people, like people who would get taken out in the field, and then they were left or lost out there in the field, and they would have to like crawl their way back, and then only to escape death, to die to escape death, to almost be killed by their own team if they didn't know the procedures or passwords to get back. But that scene where the guy crawls his way back to camp, and he got shot in the eye and his eye is gone, and there's like ants. There's like ants eating the wound and all over his face and stuff.
This is from Galloway book. We Were Soldiers. This is one scene that was too gruesome for the movie, so they cut it away from the movie. And you if you want to read it, you have to read the book. But it happened for real. For real, the guy was shot in the eye. He survived. He woke up with the ants in his eyes, and then when getting back, he forgot the password to get back to his lines safely, and he risked to be friendly fired. It's unbelievable. It's very unbelievable.
I saw a clip from that movie because I was watching a historical show where they compare real history to the movies that they're based on, and that's the Mel Gibson one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that scene where they go to take off the guy's boot, and his whole
his whole leg is like it's like melted off, and it comes off with his boot. That's disgusting. That was awesome. But that's a movie I gotta watch because I haven't seen that movie yet. Let me see here. Like I love like some of the quotations, like the "God didn't make Rambo, I did." I love like that "Stand by Me" jukebox scene. The showdown. Like I was saying before, the stare down between Ortega and Jorgensen, and the naughty nurse jokes, and like the letter transmissions, and like the opening Troutman mission, the stealth mission, that was really cool. And what did I write here? I was writing in bed, like I was literally like in the night writing. I had like under the blanket writing so that my wife wouldn't wake up from the light.
Well, regarding the Stand By Me song, I really have no idea where it came from. It just happened. Sometimes you have good ideas, you have no idea where they come from.
Yeah, but I thought it was cool because it's like it's such an iconic song, and you can kind of see it like how it ties in with the characters, and it shows like the bonding, like a lot of the bonding. Which I liked about this was there's a lot of different bonding moments, like when Rambo and Ortega are in the are drinking beers in the pool hall, and I think it was Rambo and Ortega or Rambo and Coletta. I'm not sure. One of the two, and which is another cool nod to Rambo 4. I found was like they're like, oh, do you have anyone back home? And he's like, a father maybe, and it reminded me a lot of that scene in Rambo 4. And I like how there's always like this continuous feeling of there's the door, like the enemy's not going to give you a chance, so there's the door, and they continuously warn them, that this is in a lot of cases a one-way ticket, which I thought was really, really, really cool because it shows you how much they want it, Oh, and the glass, convincing the enemy, for the piece of glass to shave. That was awesome too, because it kind of reminds me of like the turnover from First Blood. There's a scene in the book where Rambo, before he goes up to the judge, they want to shave him, and they tell him, well, it must feel hot in there with like all that facial hair, and he's like, oh, I have a rash, I'm not supposed to shave. And then later on he says that to the judge, and the judge sentences him to like 30 days or something like that. And it kind of felt like that in a way that it's kind of like a reversal, like kind of like saying like, oh, I'm done with fighting. But even though I think your version deals with Barry in that part, it was really cool. It was really cool to see that scene.
Barry Delmore and the rat.
Yeah, Barry or Rambo and the rat. And like actually using that glass to do the rat, to eat the rat, and like how like you could get a shot of blood from the heart. It would keep your iron up. It would keep your health up. And like when he peels off the rat's face, I was like, oh my god, it's all slimy and disgusting, and he eats the rat. That was amazing. I love that scene.
That's when you see that I wrote many horror novels in my life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I like how they have like the father and son, like the Troutman and Rambo have like father and son of like if it comes down to dying, they're both willing to do it for each other. And I love like the introduction of the Randall 18, like, and that whole curious past of that Pat Nelson guy, and Troutman, which I think is a really good turning point for the reader because it takes them completely off guard, and you think that you have one plot, but really there's this whole different subplot that really it kind of makes me think, like, I don't want to give it away, but it kind of, like, with what happens later on when Lloyd shows up, when he's talking about, you know, that whole ordeal with Nelson, it kind of makes me feel like there's a conspiracy theory behind it. So I guess we're gonna have to wait for book 3 to find out, right? Like,
you know, it was a very popular conspiracy about the whole Vietnam War, like the myth that there was someone inside the military that didn't want to win the war. Usually, the more popular version of this urban legend is that some military wished to have a never-ending war for economic reasons. This is absolutely not true. The problem was very simple, and just like I wrote it down in the book, meaning that the military in the 60s, the United States military was made by people thinking about Vietnam like if it was the war against Nazis. Mm-hmm. They had World War II tactics. They thought they would have faced the enemy in an open field, which was suicidal for Viet Cong to try to face the Americans on an open field. And the problem was to adjust the military to this new reality. So there was people, just like in my book, people that was very smart and adapted very fast and changed very fast because they were young, thinking, very ready to everything, like special forces are, because one of the things that is very typical of special forces is their out-of-the-box thinking. Soldiers think, there are their enemies, we have to shoot them. Special forces think there are the enemies, so we have to hide, we have to get back, encircle them and attack them from the behind the shoulders. So we don't want to face them. Special forces never wanted to face the enemy. They wanted to kill the enemy. They wanted to transform the fighting into a murder, like I wrote in my book. This is a part of warfare that has always existed. The ninjas, the ancient ninjas, were very similar to the Sun soldiers and the Delta Force nowadays. They are spies much more than soldiers.
Yeah, like I find it it's like you say, it's the difference between life and death. It's going that extra. It's taking the time to go over the bases to make sure that when your platoon goes in, you're gonna come out alive. Kind of like how you were talking in the beginning of the book about the how like a normal man can go like maybe 4 to 6 days without water or nutrients, but when they train you in special forces, you can go 8 days. You know, just those 2 days can mean the difference between life and death. You know, those 2 days can mean the difference of finding a way out and never coming home. You know.
Yes. Also, when you mention the fact that over a certain point of training, the body starts destroying itself. This is true. This is the principle over which every modern training is based on. But it's a little futuristic for the 60s. This is something I wrote it was true, it was cool, but if this wasn't a Rambo prequel, I would have never written something like this, because it's a little before time in the 60s.
Yeah.
In the 60s, they were much more old school, and they used to destroy the soldiers to see who could stand the training and nothing else than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of reminds me a lot of Last Samurai in that way. But a couple of other things I really liked about that transition period too are like, I love that scene with like the archery scene, like, you know, like the stealth archery scene. I love that, like light weapons training stuff with like the knife.
Okay.
I love how like Rambo's trained as a boxer, and like how they do the knife training, and I love like that Barry and his mom, and kind of like you can kind of see his demise already because he's smoking. You know, like I love like how like Ortega kind of feels like you were saying earlier about he's going out of his way looking for stuff like looking for the attention, like the Bragg Chopper training sequence. I love all that stuff. I love like the rookie mission objective, and I even wrote down don't spoil tie-ins to Patrick Plot for that part because I'm gonna read it. But you know, like just like the stuff that they seen, you know, like Ortega and Barry talking about like when he was in the medic chopper, like the stuff he's seen and just being part of the being a door gunner for the medic chopper, and then that whole tie-in with Lloyd and how the mission kind of takes place, how the mission kind of kicks in because you get that how do you say, kind of like the Troutman's kind of feeling bad. It's kind of like, it kind of reminded me of Rambo 3, how Rambo feels responsible, and then kind of like First Blood also, how Troutman feels responsible for Rambo. And you know, with like the burn after reading aspects of it, it's a really nice tie-in. It's a really nice tie-in because it kind of makes you think about the future, what's gonna happen, how that affects this, you know, and it kind of shows that like how Troutman is dealing with I want to say like the loss, like a specific dear loss to him, and how in the same retrospect he's getting attached to all these, you know, trainees. The audience knows they're all going to die, but he's not at that point. He kind of has, I guess he kind of knows, you know, like they always have those sayings like 50 of you are going out and 25 of you coming back. But it adds a really big levity to it because it gives Troutman a whole new dimension, you know.
Yes. Troutman. I have a thing for Troutman. He's a very cool character in the movies. He's a man living with an aura of legend over himself. So I gave it a lot of space inside my saga and a very important role inside my saga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love how he's written because you get all these layers that and it's cool because you can see Richard Crenna in your head. Like, you can see him, you know, and you can hear the voice and you can imagine how he would deliver the lines, and you can really, it's a really good like homage to such a great actor and such a great character. Like, showing that real tutelage, that real 3-year tutelage. Some other things I picked up on were like the I love that, like that Doors / Toys 19 '69 anonymous quote that was really cool, and going into Operation Black Spot and the intense quickness of how Black Spot just takes off. It's very, very intense, and like how like the characters are brought back almost to flashbacks from the first one. Like, study the next move, keep moving forward. And you get Martinez and Scorpio in there, and I think there was another two characters, Man and Colin, that were kind of introduced around the same time. You get like the whole like Rambo in the elements, like night vision, and I really, really like how everybody kind of gets their own feeling of, oh, so that's how it feels like to do this. Oh, that's how it feels like to do that. And they all kind of get that, they're counting down like the people they're taking out, and they're like, you can tell it's having psychological effects on them. I really like how that was initiated in there,
Yes.
Yeah, like
because it's a saga about why Rambo became Rambo. He is still not Rambo. He's not the classic Rambo we are used to, because you can feel he's weaker. You can feel he has more frightened by the fight than the usual Rambo. But you start understanding how he became what he is during the First Blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way he became this. And I'm not telling it for one person only, but for all of the team members.
Yeah.
Every single one of them was like him.
Exactly.
He was one of the best, maybe the best one, but not so better than the others.
Yeah.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
Of them.
Yeah, it's like having a whole group of Rambos. That's what I like about it, because the carnage is incredible, and it's like everybody gets their own moments, which is really, really cool. And like it shows like how things change you, like sights and smells and senses and the dead, like just those ghosts that they're gonna come back to haunt you in your mind, and how you go through something like that, and then someone will give you an order, and you're almost like you're almost stoned, you're defiant, and like what gives this person the right to tell me to do this? Like, do they just like, I just watched my friend get killed, or I just sawed down 30, I just killed 30 people, like they needed that time to swallow it down, and they're not allowed,
to elaborate. They needed to elaborate what was happening.
Yeah, and I like how you have like a 20 down to 10. I like the A and B teams. I really like that. And it goes into like Black Spot too, with the Huey attack, and like this 5-page Huey crash attack sequence, and like Rambo and company kind of just preparing for death. It kind of feels like there's a moment where they're all kind of preparing for death, and you think like Jurgensen's gonna get his legs chopped off, and there's this like really, really, really intense moment. How do I want to say it? Like, you can feel like the damage, like the collateral, like how like the collateral damage that they're preparing for, how they feel, and like to land, to walk away like completely broken up by that, because they do get injured, but not being able to stop because they still gotta fight. Like they're not able to kind of stop and take care of themselves. They still gotta fight. So like, everyone's working through the hurt, and that's bad enough. But then to get up off the ground, after being so dazed and disoriented, and have the bloodthirsty Viet Cong running at you, that's a fucking, that's wow. That was really impressive, because like I was saying earlier, it's easy. It would be easy to write an action sequence, but when you look at doing it in a way like this, which actually feels realistic, it feels realistic because the way that you go about doing things is more realistic. So that when you get them rising from almost being killed and then being forced to go up against countless amount of men, you really feel that weight. Like, oh my God, this might be an impossible moment, but it keeps it natural and flowing, and more importantly, it keeps it real. It keeps it plausible, which I really like that about your action sequences, not only in this one but in the first one as well.
Thank you.
And to just finish up the last points, there's like a relentless, 10-page back attack that goes with that, and this really cool C4. I really like that C4 scene. Yeah, it's kind of like, it reminded me a lot of like the live for nothing, die for nothing kind of mentality, and just that whole kind of first Rambo chapter at the end, or that Rambo segment, like with the shallow hole attack and like the 30-odd soldiers and the Claymore detonation and Barry with those two jets, dodging those two jets and everything that are coming, those phantom jets, and like the steel ball wound, and like just like Ortega finding Rambo in the clouded debris, just casually damaged and taking everybody out one by one, kind of like the Viet Cong were doing to them before. Like with that ant scene with that ant in the guy's eye. So, and Rambo receiving his first one of his first medals, which was really cool. And
this is interesting because you can see the reason why many soldiers refuse their medals. If you read the machine, the C4 machine carefully, you notice that Rambo is not doing it out of generosity, heroism. He's doing what he do because he has no other choice.
Yeah.
You either do this or you die. Pick your choice, or everybody dies. And that might be a reason for a soldier to refuse a medal.
Yeah.
Why should I accept a medal for something I had no choice about?
Mm-hmm.
It's nonsense. So, who knows? Maybe Rambo will refuse this medal.
I think I can't wait to see how it picks up in the next one, and I'll get to that when we get to the questions. But before we get to the questions, we'll do a little intermission. But before we get to the questions, I got something for you that I was thinking about. Recently, I was sent version B, which is script 18 from the 17 Lost Directors. The 17th script, which was the Lost Director's cut of First Blood, the 3-hour, 21-minute director's cut. And I found in there that there is an additional Baker team member written by Stallone. And I was like, oh, I gotta show Wallace this, because maybe Wallace could write a Lost Baker team member short or something, or maybe, add him into your saga or something. But there is another Baker team member. Brand new. Well, not new. Since 1981, but no one ever knew about. So, his name is Zach, CZAK, and I thought that was cool. Like, maybe you can use that in the future. Throw it back to the old school.
But he mentioned does it has a scene, a flashback scene inside the script? It has a whole scene about himself.
Oh yeah, there's a origin story.
Origin story. Interesting. That's a surprise.
Yeah, there's the origin story. There's a couple of more different flashbacks. What I'll do is I'll send you that whole script, and
Absolutely.
I'll send you a page cutout with the extra Baker team member, and that scene's really cool too because instead of Rambo talking to Barry's mother or wife or something outside, he actually comes into the house and he almost has a breakdown moment inside the house. Um, and it's weird too because in the script, like like how he breaks down at the end, he kind of does that through the script a couple of times where he'll get like angry at himself. Like one point where he gets to the cliff face to climb down the cliff. In the movie, he's like, damn. But in the script, he actually starts going off on himself. He's calling himself names and he gets really fucking mad. He does that a couple of times. But I'll send that to you. I thought it was really cool because knowing that you have all the Baker team members, uh, it would give you a chance to actually add what could be the last lost one. Like the last lost one, which I thought would be cool. Maybe if one day if you want to return to the saga from the outside, because I know you got them all planned out. So it'd be
Absolutely.
yeah. So
And
it would give you a
curious.
chance to maybe write something fresh. The in between books or something.
Absolutely. I will look for it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you tonight. Like when we're done, I'll send it over. Um, so I'm gonna take a brief intermission because I just gotta go out and check something really fast. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom
Yes.
and grab something to drink, switch the tape. So I'll leave it open, and I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna save this part, and I'll start the next tape and just run outside for a second, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Yeah, my wife just got back from France, so everything's my whole house is like overturned with clothes and laundry and everything. It was clean while she was gone, but she Tasmanian deviled it when she got home. Yeah, I'm just gonna go use the washroom. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna run outside really quick. I'll be back in like a minute. All right, sorry about that. My neighbor's having a party up there. That's why you hear all that. I don't know if you can hear all the screaming in the background, but he's having a party up there. So it's like, are you coming? And I'm like, no, I'm practicing out my expendable moment from Rambo 2. It's like when you're invited to a party and you don't show up. 7:59. My phone is all messed up. I don't know what my wife sent me a message. I don't know when she sent. She'll probably get it when she gets home. She wants to know if I want anything while she's out. Let's see here. I'll check the Facebook Live. Wait for that to boot up. So let's see if we got any more questions. I got about 11 so far. 11 questions. They're pretty good questions. Pretty good questions so far. Oh, let me see what she says. After this, I got a Zero Cool thing. Last minute re-recording for Zero Cool. I recorded two of them, and they didn't even come out. And I recorded Rambo Year One fan reading, and it didn't come out, so I have to do it again. A 7-hour reading, man, close to 7 hours.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I was pissed, man.
It's not enough to describe.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst when that happens. It's only happened maybe like 5-6 times now where I've actually lost something, and yeah, I wasn't happy having to redo it. But it's good because it gives me time to actually throw in comments that I didn't think of before. And okay, so that's empty. No new questions, but I got some from Isaiah Harrison, Wild Man Beyond, to start things off. All right, ready?
Right.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. He asks, how long have you been doing this? And the B side of the question is, what inspired you to take up this large project as a whole?
I started this in 2012, and it was an incident, meaning that first or later it comes a moment in your life as a writer that you understand that it's all about what you feel for your own works, meaning that you don't decide what to write anymore. You start writing when you are a rookie. You have one idea at a time, you write it down. You have 2 ideas and write the best one. And then it comes a moment when you have 10 ideas and you are so obsessed by writing something good that you don't choose anymore. You pick the best one, you write it down. You don't choose. I wrote Rambo Year One as a couple of tales, a collection of short tales in the beginning, and if you read the first volume, you can easily see that it was a bunch of short tales put together, and then it spontaneously became a novel and then a saga of novels, but it was no decision. It happened because I spent many years in trying to write the best and the best only inside my head in some ways. That's the reason this happened.
Very cool. Yeah, like I know, like when I read it, it felt like an anthology. Like just the first one, it felt like a whole anthology. Like you got like the beginning, the opening specs for it, and all the notes and everything like that. But just talking about all the different characters, you really see that it does feel like an anthology of short stories.
And as a matter of fact, the second novel, like the first one, the second novel has some short tales during the training. You jump from one lesson to another, from one personal story at home or one soldier to another. And then at the half of the book starts the mission, the action in Vietnam. And it's very similar to the first book because both those first two novels have some tales in the beginning and a single narration, a single story in the second half. The third novel is a breakthrough because it's the real deal. It's the story of what happens in Vietnam. It's the first one of the real prequels of the saga. There are no more short tales. You see what they're doing in Vietnam. It's very fast, meaning that a lot of things happen in the first few months they are in Vietnam. There are many things going on, and there are many things going on both in Vietnam and in the United States. But it's one tale. You see what Troutman is doing, what the Baker team is doing, what's the problem with the generals behind the Troutman, and there are some personal stories in Vietnam. There are no more flashbacks, and I tried to do. It's not spoiling, but I tried to do a count of the action pages, and it's something like 200 pages of action.
Wow!
There's a lot of action.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's longer than the other novels. And there is a first part of, let's say, different. They have different tasks to do in Vietnam. They are inside the base. Sometimes they get out. Their daily job is to train the South Vietnamese army. And sometimes they have different tasks to do, mostly on Troutman's behalf. And then starts a mission, and this mission is 200 pages long.
Oh my god. That's gonna be awesome. That kind of answers my second question.
Okay, what about the third novel?
Yeah, because I had where were you going to go from here? It was a 4-part question. It was where you were going to go from here. Since there's no sample at the end of Baker team, and then what should we be expecting, or what should readers be expecting? And maybe if you can give us an example of a scene.
Well, let's say that then the third novel starts 10 minutes after the second. It's immediate. It starts in the immediate aftermath of Black Spot. But then it moves on. It shows the consequences that this first mission had on Troutman's personal story in Vietnam. And we have a first part of 100 pages, as I told you, with these different tasks. And then there is the mission, if you want a little spoiling,
Sure.
as you have seen in the trailer, so it's not a real spoiler. There is a very important VIP that Troutman would like to see taken down.
Oh.
And the problem is that this VIP might be in 3 different places at the same time.
Oh.
So Troutman think that it's so important that it will send 3 SOGs team to the 3 different places at the same time, hoping to kill this VIP. But one of these places is beyond the point of no return, which was the maximum range for special forces on foot. Because when you are on the jungle, inside the jungle, you have to carry your own food, your own water, and of course you can march up to a certain distance, then you start fainting and feeling bad, become ill.
Yeah, because you lose the resources, right? So.
Yes, but Troutman has tested the bigger teams, and he knows that the bigger teams are over those limits. They are not immortal, they are not Terminators, they are not cyborgs, but they are a little over because they are better trained than the average Soviet team.
Wow.
So Troutman sends 2 teams in the 2 closer places and sends the Baker team on the farther and on the more distant one. And that's when the mission starts.
Wow. That's going to be incredible. That's going to be incredible. I can't wait for that one.
I have a bunch of test readers that are reading it in those days. They all agree that the third is the best of the saga so far.
Oh, it sounds like it's going to be the best of the saga.
Yes, I am. I'm very happy because usually when I released year 1, I wasn't very worried. But when I released Breakhead Team, I was quite worried because I knew that more readers would have read it because the first novel was read by some 100 people.
Wow.
The second novel exceeded, when I released the second novel, we were talking about 1,000 or so. Now we are over 2,500 readers.
Damn! Damn, that's amazing! That's amazing!
It's from a publishing company point of view, it's good. It's good. I don't say anything else but good. But it's not enough to go to a publishing company and say, "Hey, I am the writer of Rambo Year 1. I am fucking famous. You have to publishing everything I got because I am a worldwide famous writer." It's too soon to do this. But considering that I have that the third one might be received even better than the first 2 novels, and that I have another 3 novels because I decided to split one each book. This means that I have another 3 years of life to get some bigger results.
Wow.
So I'm quite optimistic.
Well, I'll be with you every step of the way, man. You keep writing them, I'll keep reading them. I'll keep reviewing them. I'll keep, that was another reason why I wanted to have you as my first guest on the show too, was because with Rambo Mania, there's a cutoff. Like eventually there's a cutoff. Like I'm practically like at the halfway point to the end of season 4, and then I'm gonna do like a bonus season 5. But after that, there's no more Rambo Mania. Rambo Mania only has a year. I would say a year and 9 months total left of it. So I wanted to have you on here too because this is probably the show I'm going to continue and just do all the time. Like I don't see this one dying for maybe another 5 or 6 years. I got enough content that I can go for 5 years easy. So maybe 5 or 6 years. So we can actually watch the whole Rambo Year 1 saga completed, which is really cool.
For sure.
And like with the intro, I'm gonna be listing every appearance you've made on Rambo Mania with a list of like a link to find each one, like all the episode links, so that when people finish watching this, because it's gonna be, I think this whole 7-part miniseries is gonna be about 18 to 20 hours. So when they finish listening to this, they can go back and listen to like all the stuff we did in the past, because there's so much great stuff in there. So much great stuff we did. So
that's true.
Yep. So it's a lot. It's I like doing this miniseries thing too instead of doing seasons, because it's easier. 7 videos a month is easier than 45 videos a month, So that's good. So I guess we've done the fan questions and the in-house studio questions. I think we're gonna go to the wild card line, the anonymous fan questions. We got 5 of them from the Facebook inbox. So let's hit it up. I even took photographs of them so I wouldn't lose where they were. One second. Phone's a little slow. I gotta get a new phone. Seriously, gotta get a new phone. My friend got the Samsung Galaxy 8. Nice, with the VR headset and all that. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to trying that out. Okay, so the first anonymous question is: the way Troutman trains the Baker team is very original. What inspired the Baker team's training in your second novel from the first? Is it a real training collaboration, or is it fictional?
It's a real training, but as I told before, it's nowadays training, and of course it's a little fictional when I explain the Rambo character, the way they eat. It's something special forces do. They eat strange things because they have to be used to survive in the jungle or other kind of environments. But the way they train to be invisible, to move from shadow to shadow, it's not exactly the way they train themselves. But from a physical point of view, the fact that you have to avoid, that you have to reach your limit, but only up to a certain amount, because after, if you go over that amount, you are destroying your body, you're not building. This is true. This is something very important when you train yourself. I I am quite a sporty kind of guy, and even if I never made any sport on a competitive level, I always found very interesting to the way modern athletes used to train themselves and the standards for joining the special forces. You can find some very funny tests. If you want to try to do them with your friends, you can go to a park and try the Navy SEAL fit test. That is not the selection process of the Navy SEALs. It's the test they make to see if you're fit enough to become a candidate, which is different. But it's fun because if you can do that, if you are well above the minimum of this test, and 7 years ago I was inside the minimum, you have to be well above the minimum. I was not above the minimum. I was inside the minimum. If you are inside that minimum, you might become a candidate. And it's something very fun. I like sport very much. And this is something different from most writers, but I like sport very much.
Very cool, very cool. Like I remember like that the paintball video you sent me.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like you in the first book, you get a feeling of that too. Like they kind of do that too.
Yes, soldiers use paintball for many reasons. Sometimes it can be a fun way of working.
Yeah. I was just checking because I keep feeling like my floor keeps on going like they're partying hardcore. Can you hear them up there? No way.
Oh.
No, okay, that's good. I don't think it will show up on the recording, but it might. Okay, question number 2. Very little is told about Troutman during the Rambo movies, yet inside your book we read a lot about him. We discover about his career in the Army, the way he thinks and whys and the hows. How did you come up with such a highly detailed character given the fact that so little is said about him throughout the 4 films?
During the Rambo movies, the official Rambo movies, Troutman is. I always thought of Troutman like a little bitter character. There's something bitter in the way he moves, he talks. You immediately think that he's a very lonely kind of person, and the idea I made myself for no reason at all, but pure imagination, is that he was one of the many who lost, in some ways, lost everything in Vietnam. That gave so much to avoid the disaster, the Vietnam disaster, that he ended up just like Rambo. But the only difference is that Troutman still has a job. But like Rambo, also Troutman ended up being a person with no wife, with no family, with nothing but his work, because that's what this kind of work do to this kind of people. You end up being like this, and this with the bitterness and the way the character is very coherent in every movie, made me think a lot about Troutman's story in Vietnam. It was a book that was already written inside my mind, of course, but it was quite easy to write all of this.
That's pretty cool. Considering like when you like when you see Troutman in the movie, especially the first one, you always get this feeling like he's way deeper. You know, there's certain like when he first shows up, he kind of jokes about, oh God, you know, God didn't make Rambo, I did, and kind of telling them that they're up against something that they have no idea how to deal with. There's even a deleted scene where Teasel's like, no man, your
Yes.
man picked the wrong person to push.
This thing you said is exactly what I told you about the Vietnam War. That he spent his life trying to explain that the Vietnam was not World War II, and people didn't understand. So he goes to Hope to help the police. He goes there and he faces the same thing he faced the Vietnam. People thinking one thing that was not absolutely not real. Think that the guy was an idiot, that the guy was a criminal, that the guy was nothing but a problem of public order, and no one listened him.
Yeah, because in reality, if Rambo was like a mean-spirited individual, he could have wiped out that whole town. He could have killed everybody, and probably there was not much anyone could have done. But even in that deleted scene, he refers to Rambo as a heart attack. He's like, that boy's a heart attack. You know, like, whatever you're planning on throwing at him, he's been through a lot worse, in a lot worse places than this. You know,
this is some mirror vision of the Vietnam War. This is an idea that comes from moral span more than the movie itself. And it's very, very awesome idea.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's so weird to see an author have such a renowned, like a award-winning novel that was taught in schools 10 years before a movie could even come out, and it went through so many changes because no one knew how to deal with the subject matter in a proper way that could have made the movie profitable and could have made the movie a contender. And then to see him come back in like this alternate universe with you know, having 1/3 James Cameron, 1/3 his Rambo, 1/3 this like the unused segments, and having like how do you call that? So word I want to use. Just having him it kind of feels like that, like the ending of the first movie doesn't happen. It's almost like, or it kind of feels like you can take it as the end of the first movie didn't happen, or you can take it as the end of the novel didn't happen, or you can take it as the shot that hit Rambo doesn't kill Rambo at the end of the novel. It's really weird. And then, you know, seeing him go with that in part 3, the same thing in part 3, even though there was multiple different versions of part 3, and seeing what he had to deal with that with reading Fireflies, which I've tried reading it like 20 times now. I can't get through it without fucking bawling. But and eventually, you know, with Rambo 4, the studio telling him, we don't want anything to do with you. This is, you know, our baby. Since the rights were signed over, right? So it's kind of weird. And then now seeing him come back to kind of not finish it off, but kind of Rambo's in it, but he's not in it. Kind of this new thing he's working on, this crossover thing. So it's kind of interesting because it's not taking a normal route. It's kind of like it reinterpretates itself every way through. It's kind of weird. I've never seen that before. So I've had people ask me like, why do you think he did it? And I don't know. I guess it's just because like he had the contract, right? So, you know, they asked him. They said, well, you know, we have to ask you because you're the only one we can ask. So it's weird. It's like I'm happy that he did it, but I like the fact that he did it in a way that doesn't hurt the first one. Like it totally leaves the first one. It's kind of like it lets the first one have the 10-year reign of 72 to 82 to itself, and then it's kind of like a totally different Rambo from 82 to eventually now. You know. Oh, hold on a second. I'm getting a notification from my HP support assistant. Gotta X that out. It's got 20 minutes. Alright. Sorry. But it's cool. It's cool. And I think one of the parallels I can draw from that is that when reading your stuff, it really goes into this this area like we were talking before about how everyone has their own story. Everything is so flashed out where you can see like the families, and it's funny to say that when Stallone and Richard Crenna were going through the motions that most of the people were from the wardrobe department, you know, and those wardrobe department people have now become this legendary thing. Like I recently talked to sent Michael Westmore a letter, so we might actually have a member of the Baker team coming on the show, which is cool.
That's true.
Yeah, so he's working for Sci-Fi now. He does the makeup for Sci-Fi. But it's just really cool because it's like with your saga, we get to go back, we get to look at not only like the action aspects or just what people would have thought we would get with a Rambo prequel, but we get to actually see a lot of them grow up from a very young age to where they are. So knowing the tragedy that's going to unfold later on, it's kind of cool because you feel for them, and at the same time, you never know when they're going to go, right? It's like, I don't know when you're going to start killing people off, so when it gets to that point, it's going to be, whoo! Like this one, I'm sitting there going, is he going to kill someone off in this one? You know, is he going to kill someone off? Like, the first book, too, I was like, okay, it's too early. It's too early. But it kind of felt like a couple of them were going to die in the first one. But we know it's too early. But it kind of, in this one too, especially in that helicopter down sequence, I was like, oh shit. I thought Jurgensen was going to get his legs chopped off or his head caved in because he's got the fracture, right? The skull fracture and all that. I was like, oh man, he's going to kill someone. But
I want to spoil this thing in particular. Won't be spoiled by me. All I can say is that when the time will come that they will start dying, you will know so much about them, each one of them, that it's gonna be very painful. That was one of the oddest things writing something like this. I mean, it doesn't happen so often for a writer to write something that you know how it's going to end. Mm-hmm. It was difficult anyways, because how can you be surprised by the fact that someone is going to die?
Yeah.
But, you have to be surprised because the Baker team was surprised when everything went south and people started dying. But I have to say that since you know that the book, that my saga is over, I'm just reworking on it, and the reason I'm releasing one volume each year to do a good job. Mm-hmm. I'm doing the work of a whole publishing company on my own with another guy helping me. We are in two persons doing the work of a whole publishing publishing company. It's very difficult, it's very demanding, but the last book is maybe it's not the best of the saga, of the whole saga, because it's probably the first or the third. The second novel is a bit of a change. It's a connection between the United States and Vietnam. But the end of the last novel is by far one of the best things I have written in my life, and one of the reasons is that you are not expecting what is coming. You know what is coming, but you don't expect it anyway.
Oh man,
it's mind blowing. I hope it was for me writing it mind blowing. I hope it will be for the reader too. We will see.
I can't wait. It's gonna be worth the wait, man. Just like I'm like so enveloped into it. Like when I first got this, when I skimmed through it one shot and I didn't read the last chapter. I just skimmed it and I was like, okay, I know how I'm gonna have a feeling how things are gonna go, and then I picked it up and read it a second time through, and that was just like actually being able to take the time with it. The first time I skimmed it just because I wanted to give you a review on Facebook, and I wanted to like set up something where I would know how we would do a show together. The second time reading it, I was just sitting there going, holy cow, I actually took time with like each page going through it. And the third time I re-skimmed it to write the questions and the PowerPoints and all that. But it was crazy because all three times I got something different from it every time. Like there was always something that was different every single time. So that's why I tell people, like, when they read it 2 or 3 times, because it evolves. It's like, you know, like Stephen King, how you can read a Stephen King book like 20 times in a row. It's like that. You get that kind of feeling of there's a lot more going on, and you know, it's kind of like watching a great movie. Like it's like watching The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable. How you can watch it over and over and or Pulp Fiction and keep getting different things from it every time. Like I just saw Pulp Fiction in the theater, and I completely got something new from it. Watching it, just because it was so big that I could see everything in the background, and the city felt like a character. Even like when I went to the Rocky 40th celebration, and I got to see Rocky on the big screen. That's a movie I've seen a million times, and this time I walked away with a totally different outlook on the movie. So I like that about what you do, because it shows that it's gonna stand that test of time. And also, like you were saying before, you're only 2 people. It's a really big feat of engineering, and you see the labor of love. And at the same time, you know, you also got the translation. You know, that's incredible that you could write something so big and then go back and like retranslate writing it all the way through. So it really shows like your investment, and it shows like the reader that like how serious you are, and at the same time it gives them not just quality reading, but it gives them like a paracosm, like a whole universe to explore. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you, man.
No problem. Let's see. Question number 3. 1, 2. Is it number 3? Yeah. Okay. The backstories of your characters are very personal and very private, yet they keep going on during the saga. How did you come up with so many multiple characters, like arcs and stuff like that? Was it easy or not? Why did you choose to put such emphasis on each single character's past? And why didn't you focus on Rambo and Chowman only? Which I know you've just answered that before, but
Well, I have to confess that it wasn't easy, but I have this inner urge to give the same space to every character. I really forced my hand a little bit to try to give every character. To make an example, Krakauer is not very important in the first book because I was really exhausted. But then in the second, no, in the third book, he gets his backstory, and it's some sort of confession. He had some reason to hide his past from his teammates, and in the end, he become like every other character with his complete past, present, and future. It wasn't easy anyway. I'm not. They say that writers write many characters when they have many friends and they live a very social life. I have a social life. I have many friends, but not so many to write a book with 8 main characters. It was a little bit too much for me. Anyway, I know my limits, so I don't fail when it comes to take choices for writing. And in the end, I'm satisfied with the way I told about the Baker King guys.
Very cool. It's kind of like Kevin Smith does that. He writes about his friends, you know. He writes them in. He writes them in his movie. So, but it's cool too because like you said, knowing your limits is very important. And you know, man, like I know when we first started talking, how you were saying that you went over a lot of this from stories from veterans that you talked to and stuff like that, and it's amazing. It's just it's mind blowing, like you said, to kind of like, you know, to kind of give birth to these, like, life to these characters and like have it stem from real life things and yeah, it's fascinating.
As a matter of fact, the veterans were really helpful in understanding that they were normal people. They were very normal guys trying to do something different. That's the fact. It's not becoming a professional soldier. To many was nothing different from the average kid wishing to become an actor or something like that. They were very normal guys.
Yeah, yeah, and like when you look at time too, like how time has progressed, especially with the war and stuff like that. You know, back then it was more of it wasn't looked at like how they look at it today. You know, like back then it was you had more people willing to fight for their country. Now it's kind of like after Vietnam and after, you know, like I don't want to say like the Gulf, but like everything that's going on in the last 10 years, 15 years, 17 years, it's or 18 years. People aren't the same. People aren't so quick to give up their sons and daughters anymore. People aren't so quick to jump into it. They know that there's that other level behind the curtain that they don't see, you know. So I think that back then it was more honorable, whereas today it feels more like it's just a profession, you know, in a lot of ways. Yes. Fourth question. During the second half of the book, we finally see the Baker team fighting in Vietnam in defensive, like a role for defense. Then the following morning, we see them chasing the enemy. Both times, the number of enemy forces is overwhelming. How did you come up with those scenarios?
Yes, this is something I have been asked in Italy a few times. It was a very popular, a very it happened very often in Vietnam during the Vietnam War because the Viet Cong had many men, much more than the United States forces had, they were very aggressive. One of the things the movies got right is that the Viet Cong were very, very aggressive kind of soldiers. It's not the kind of soldiers they were. It's it was their tactics. They used to do these large numbering assaults, trying to overwhelm the Americans. So it is very historical, believable that the Baker team was sent to help an outpost, and that the intelligence was worried that it might be attacked by a larger number of forces. And basically it comes from historical books.
That's pretty cool. It's like, that's a unique approach for that. I wouldn't know.
No, in fact, it's difficult to imagine Rambo in a defense role because we had seen him in Rambo 3, but usually the character is seen as an attacker, kind of soldier.
Yeah.
Like in soccer, the attackers are the strongest, the pitch man, the most important man in the team. So you see Rambo as an attacker. But the Vietnam War was different. If you remember, in the first novel, he's in a defense position too. When there is the people coming up from the hill, the fortified hill, and he's in a defensive role since the beginning of my saga. Then
that's an amazing scene too, because there's like a kamikaze wave attack that comes in.
Yes,
and that's a fucking crazy scene, man.
Yes, but it happened. It happened during the 10th offensive. There was some scenarios of this kind. I don't think that during the Key siege happened something like that, but because it was much more similar to First World War, with people entrenched in their position and fighting for months. Yet sometimes there were these kind of battles, and they were fit for my book, so I used those scenarios.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Final question. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a... It's the wife, you know.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Final question. The third cover finally shows us Rambo. Why did you wait for the third book to use his likeness? Does this mean we will have a larger role in the third novel? How did you come up with 3 covers so different for such different stories?
Okay, I have a confession to make. I wish to have a younger Rambo since the first of my covers.
I know, like I remember you using like real life military photos and
Yeah.
and also
Yes.
photos from Victory and stuff like that of a young Sly, and even there's even some with people who look like Sly and cropped photos of a
Yes.
young Sylvester.
Yes, that was an early prototype of a cover with a younger Stallone. But the truth is that I didn't find a drawer so good to do the job, to get the job done. So we did the cover that we did, which is awesome. I do still think that the first cover is the best of the saga. We used the younger Stallone when we found Benedetta Rebecchi, the drawer, which is very good, and we are working at an illustrated version of the first novel with something like 5 drawings.
Wow.
With Rambo drinking the beer with Ortega, and Coletta, the younger Coletta with the grizzly bear. And
yeah.
We are doing a good job, and we're gonna release it. I have no dates at the moment. We wanted to do the things fine, very fine, so we are taking it slowly to do a good job. Anyway, I don't want to disappoint the readers, but Rambo will have the same role he always had in the saga. He is not becoming the Rambo 2 version of the character. This saga is going to stay a saga about why and how he became what he became. The Rambo you see in part 2 and part 3 is the Rambo that survived in Vietnam, and he survived thanks to surviving all of his teammates, and thanks also to the disaster happening in Hope during First Blood.
Mm-hmm.
He became what he became. He's a survivor.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be this kind of survivor inside my novels. My novels stay until the end a book about how. It's an answer to a question, my saga. That's the way I describe it. An answer to the question of how Rambo became how can you describe it? The soldier he is in Rambo 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I'll drink to that, man.
Okay.
That's fascinating. Oh man, it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait. The third one launches what, this week or next week?
Next week.
Wow.
The last day of this month.
Wow. So you're gonna be releasing yours when I release the show. Like when I start the show, May 1st, you're gonna be releasing that. May Day.
Yes.
Oh, it's gonna be fantastic.
Probably. I'm thinking about do a live streaming in Italian language, of course, for the Italian fans, telling how the last year has been, how my numbers grow, which is something people are happy to know. And I wanted to thank a lot of people, and I hope that they will like the third book as they enjoyed the first two.
I'm sure they will. And I'm going to try to get you back on here before the English translation drops. We can do something else.
Oh, regarding the English translation, you read, if I remember well, you read the early version of year one, with my original English before Mary revised it.
Yeah.
And then you read Baker Team revised when it was revised already.
Okay.
If you want, given the fact that I'm searching a new revisor because Mary is very busy,
okay.
I could send you the third novel in the non-revised version.
Yeah.
I can do this very soon. A couple of months. I just need to reread it before sending it to you because now I have only translated it.
Okay.
But it's translated already.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
I will send it to you. Don't worry.
All right.
First, I wanted to reread it myself one time. And it would be nice to find a revisor before sending it to you. If I don't, I will send it anyway.
I'm sure it would be. I'm sure it would be good. Because I remember the unrevised versions of the other ones were great. So I'm sure it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
I thank you. I thank you very much. But I know I do a lot of mistakes. I know I do a lot of mistakes.
It shows the charm, though. It shows that. The dedication, the passion, you know, it shows it. I'm the same way. I make really bad mistakes. Am I right? I grammar wise, I'm horrible. All of that's really bad. But people always kind of tell me that the drive behind it is what, you know, annulates that. So it's what makes it great. But I know, like, when I'm reading your stuff, it's just wonderful. Even the unrevised versions were incredible because I know you personally too. So I can kind of, in my head, I can kind of like the way we talk. I can it all filters through anyway. So it's great. Yeah, I would be honored if you sent me that. I'll send you this stuff tonight. Like as soon as we're done, I'll send you like the First Blood stuff. If you want, I got a copy of the John Travolta script too. If you want that,
I have it in my PC. I don't remember where I downloaded it, but I have it already.
Okay.
You can find it online somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I got that one. It's pretty. It's kind of the same, but it's different. Like John Travolta is more of a bad guy, but you know. I gotta read it. I gotta read it all first, though.
Like, it's a little too much Lethal Weapon for me. Much Lethal Weapon.
Riggs.
I prefer the serious version of Rambo.
Yeah. All right.
Rambo and the laughs are something that doesn't match.
Yeah. Totally. Like, I can't wait to find script 17 because that's the one with. Like in the 18th script, the ending has changed, and there's 81 pages of omission. So you're reading it, and it's like, this page omitted, and 81. So they took out 81 minutes. Plus, like, also in the script, all the deleted scenes are in there already. Like the ones that we've seen. Like all the Hervadia footage, all the televised print, all the deleted scenes from the DVD. So those other 81 pages, those are things that we've never seen, and there's also about 25 pages of new deleted scenes that I've never even heard about. Plus, then you figure in all the Stephen Chang notes of his scenes that were taken out. So it's a good read. I'll send you that. But I guess that wraps it up for the fan questions. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
I want to thank everyone helping me, Marco Faccio, Larry Bottazzi, Benedetta Rebecchi, that made the last cover. That is ultra awesome. The last cover is very, very awesome, and I hope I will never disappoint all the people that helped me and all the fans that were so. Uh, I don't know how to describe this. When someone reads something you write, is dedicating the time of his life to something. It's your work. You working on it, but anyway, they did this choice to spend some of their time for you, and I will always be grateful for that. Really, I wanted to thank everyone for this.
Awesome, awesome. I want to thank you for coming on, man. And I just want to apologize that it took so freaking long to get this up and running. But I really wanted to do it in a way that would really be positive towards everything. And I know that in the past we talked about maybe doing audiobooks and stuff. So I was like, maybe I could do a fan reading to kind of get people in the mind of an audiobook setting. And maybe later on, if you want to do audiobooks, we can do that. But I was like, it would be really great to have a interview with Wallace, a full, interview Q&A in studio. And also it would be the first time that we're speaking instead of writing to each other to do all this stuff.
Yes.
And yeah, it would be really cool to do like a review, retrospective, and fan reading of the actual books, like page by page review. So I thought it would be really cool to do that for people who are maybe like visually impaired or who can't, or illiterate or something like that. That way they can get in on it also and enjoy the action. So I thought that would be really, really cool. So I wanted to thank you for letting me do that. And at the same time, it's really cool because like the Lyle short, I love the Lyle short. So having that in there and Rambo Year One and Baker Team, and also separating the footnotes, like all the different footnotes from them, so that it kind of feels like 5 books instead of 2. The way I'm going to present it. So I really wanted to thank you because it's just awesome. It's awesome for the show, and it's awesome for promotion. It's awesome for maybe the people, like I said, who don't have it in Braille or anything like that. So it's like, thanks a million, man.
Thanks to you, Matt. Your work is always awesome, and your interest for my saga is unbelievable. I'm very proud to have your interest and your work, your help.
Thank you
for what I'm doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Thank you. A great friend, a great artist, man, and it's like I said, it's that passion shines through, like in everything you do, like the trailers, the concept art, even like reviews that you're doing online and stuff. It's great stuff. It's great stuff. So I guess that sums it up. So
Yes.
Coming up next is the Lyle short review retrospective, then part 1 of Rambo Year 1, then part 2 of Rambo Year 1, and part 1 of Baker Team, and part 2 of Baker Team. Awesome. So I
Yeah, awesome.
I got a jet before my wife gets home. I gotta find out what what I have to re-record tonight on ZTV, and I have to do. I'm gonna be up overnight doing intro rewrites for all 21 episodes that I got so far, so I can record them on Tuesday. That way, when all the episodes are ready to go, I can get it done quickly. Because there's a lot of them that are pre-recorded that I have to add the intro to and do it that way. So I'm gonna be up until sunrise.
I really need to go to sleep now. You have no idea.
All right.
It's 1:30
Oh no.
in the morning.
All right. Well, I won't keep you. Enjoy your sleep, man, and thanks again for waiting for me and all that. It means a lot to me because it's so hard these days to get anything done. Usually when I schedule with with people, it's 3 months in advance now. But I knew that Point of No Return was coming out, and I was like, oh no, we gotta get that up. We gotta get that up fast. We gotta get it, and especially for the new show, I thought it would be the perfect piece for the new show because it's it fits into what the show is all about. So.
Okay.
All right, man.
Thanks. Bye, man.
All right, I'll talk to you later, man. I'll let you know how it turns out. I'll send you the stuff on Facebook, and I'll do like a quick version of this, like a version without the intro. I'll send it to you. Make sure it's up to your specifications. If there's anything you want me to take out, feel free to let me know. And it should be on air within May 1st to May 7th, sometime in that time period.
Okay, perfect.
All right, brother.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.